No matter the role, the work of an Ingalls shipbuilder is both complex and inspiring. For over 86 years, the world-class shipbuilders at Ingalls Shipbuilding have designed, built, and maintained amphibious ships and destroyers for the U.S. Navy. Welcome to Inside Ingalls, a podcast that dives deep into the stories and perspectives of those who shape our legacy. Welcome back to another episode of Inside Ingalls. I'm your host, Katie Weldon, and with us today we have another special guest, Vice President of HII and Ingalls Shipbuilding President, Brian Blanchette. Brian, welcome.
Thank you, Katie. Great to be here.
On the last episode with Brian, he gave us kind of his leadership philosophy, what he looks forward to in his incoming presidency. And this episode is really going to be focused on everything that we've accomplished in the first half of the year. So without further ado, Brian, let's get started with the big picture. You've emphasized that shipbuilding is national security. Why is that mindset so important right now, and how are we helping the workforce stay connected to our purpose?
Yeah, I think it was just yesterday that I was reading a news clip about the USS Stout pulling into port in Norfolk, Ingalls ship, by the way. And, you always have that mental picture of the families on the pier just, crying, waiting to see their loved ones come home. And so always what we do enables that and helps bring people home safely. But what I think a lot of people don't realize or don't think about today is that ship just came back from 8 months in the Red Sea. They had countless engagements with Houthi missiles. They're actually at war. And so, when we talk about warships and doing right for the warfighter, I mean, it's real. What we do matters because of that and matters for them. And the people who are happy to see them home aren't just happy because they miss their loved ones. They're happy because there's a legitimate chance they might not come home. And so everything that we can do to help enable that is just part of the mission. And so that's why it's so important. And that's why you see so much talk about the mission around the shipyard. We try and tie people to the story of each ship through the namesake banners, help people get connected to the mission every way we know how. And, just the more we can get that message out, the more personal we can make it, the more people can see that they're part of something bigger than themselves, the better off we'll all be.
Right. And I always think you do a great job whenever you're, if it's like a Leaders Connect or a town hall, you always talk about the importance of delivering ships with urgency and with, excellent quality. Mm-hmm. So with that, what progress have we made this year that demonstrates our commitment to that standard?
There's so many little pockets of good things going right. I've been trying to get out into the shipyard to see more and more of that, to talk with some of the teams who are doing those things. So, electrical test team on DDG, electrical test team on LHA, the track welder team that's working out in the 600 area on LHA 9. They're all focused on how do we do it a little bit better? How do we get it done a little bit sooner? How do we get it right? And so that's definitely one of my priorities as we go forward, as we go into the rest of the year, is to do more and more of that. For me to get out and see all the people doing so many good things, focused on executing with urgency, executing with quality, and doing it just a little bit better.
And like you say, shipbuilding's a team sport. And so the more people that come together and understand that purpose and that mission, I really think goes back to that. The first quarter of 2025 saw a number of accomplishments across Ingalls, from major production milestones to team wins, going back to the team. So can you talk through some of those achievements and what they signal about the direction we're moving towards?
Yeah, we actually hit every first quarter commitment from a schedule milestone standpoint, and so that's huge. It's a great example of getting off on the right foot to start the year, and none of that was done without a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of work to just make it happen. And so we want to build on that momentum. We want to keep hitting those milestones as we go throughout the rest of the year, and deliver on our commitments.
Absolutely. And shout out to the Ingalls shipbuilders who have made that possible, of course.
Of course.
Whether it's through innovation or like the Back to Basics initiative, performance improvements, there's been a lot of focus on removing obstacles through innovation, which you always talk about anytime you're speaking in front of shipbuilders. But what's one area where you've seen us get stronger this year?
So I think a great example of that, we have had a lot of talk about material support of the ships and opportunities to do that better. And that's a really big problem and one that we'll never solve in one bite. but we had a team come together and focus on just one relatively small piece of the problem. It was storeroom material, and the process for that is pretty old-fashioned process. I mean, we're using tricolor forms and probably stubby little golf pencils to fill out the forms or whatever, but it's an example of the way we've always done it has opportunity to do it better. And we set a team off with the mission of how can we make this part of the problem better. And so they went off and they understood what fed the process, what the process feeds, what the options were, and they came back with a few different paths that we could go down, and one that kind of floated to the top as the recommended path. And then we met as a leadership team and we figured out how we could go make that happen and where we would free up some funding by not doing something so we could do that instead. And they went off to go implement that. And so we're hopefully very, very close to seeing that come all the way through the process and start to be fielded. So I think that's a great example of people working together, make sure they're solving the right problem, understanding the interfaces, understanding the impacts, and eating it a bite at a time.
I love that throughout this whole conversation, each of your answers have been centered around the shipbuilders and the people that make up Ingalls Shipbuilding. And you've consistently said that people are our greatest asset. Can you share a moment from Q1 that really reflects the grit, the skill, the resilience of the Ingalls team, of our shipbuilders?
The first one that came to mind is actually a Q2, but just happened, the generator light off for LHA 8. It was a milestone that we were working toward. Any number of challenges all along the way that could have presented an excuse not to get it done. But I got the word on Sunday afternoon that we had achieved generator light off. And so the team stuck with it. I was just talking to them earlier in the week, and they were all excited about it. They knew they had their challenges in front of them. But to see it come to fruition, to see us hit that milestone, make the target, get it done that week like we said we were going to, just a testament to the grit, the dedication, the commitment of the team, and the resilience, because I'm sure there were a million things that could have stopped them along the way, and a lot of excuses, but they didn't settle for the excuses. They just pushed through and made it happen.
So you mentioned Q2, which kind of makes me think of the future. And as we head into the second half of the year, I mean, what is that message that you want to share about the work ahead and what it means in the larger setting of defending our nation?
Yeah, I think, for all of the reasons people give for why it's important for us to hit the schedules, for us to deliver the ships, the other side of it, there's a lot of people rooting against us. And, when you look at the countries around the world that are threatening freedom of navigation, threatening democracy, threatening that global mission, threatening the world order that's led to peace and prosperity for so many decades, they do not want to see a strong Navy. They do not want to see Ingalls deliver ships. And so, whether it's the patriotic pride of proving them wrong, whether it's the commitment, the dedication to following through, for all those reasons, that's what we need to do, is just one milestone at a time, one bill at a time, one day at a time, just continue to push forward, to get it done, and to follow through on those commitments, because certainly our Navy is counting on it. Other navies are rooting against it, and I always tell people I'm a really competitive person. I like to win. So
I think you're surrounded by competitive people too. And when you hosted your Leaders Connect and your town hall sessions with other shipbuilders, for those that may not be listening, you talked about something that I think really resonated with people, where you said, and this has been passed down to you, when in doubt, do what is right for the warfighter. Mm-hmm. And I think everything that you've said throughout this conversation is all about that. When in doubt, or if you're second guessing something, do what is right for the warfighter, for those people that are going out and defending our nation. And we're a part of that too, and the things that we build and the quality that we make.
Yeah, just this week in staff meeting, we usually, we always do a value moment, and we rotate through. Each member of the staff gets to talk about one of our 6 values. And Jack Norris this week was talking about responsibility, and the picture he put up on the screen was Jack and his nephew, who's at the U.S. Naval Academy, plays on their football team, did his summer cruise, is what they call it, when they set sail, and he was on LPD 21, Ingalls ship, sailing into New York for Fleet Week. And so the adage to build the ship as though your son or daughter or loved one might sail on it is more than just a saying. I mean, it is literally true for so many in our workforce. And so, that is why I say it. That's why it's so important to, when in doubt, do what's right for the warfighter, because those are real people who are sailing on those ships, and they're there to protect us and to serve us. And so when we can do our part to protect them and to serve them, I think it's only holding up our end of the deal.
And you're exactly right. There's, hundreds, if not thousands, of shipbuilders here that have a very similar story to Jack, or have that connection to that war fighter, especially with the christening of Jeremiah Denton, DDG 129, coming up June 28th. His story is just so incredible, and I think it's a great opportunity for shipbuilders to come and to hear directly from his family. His 2 daughters are going to be the sponsors of the ship. But Brian, thank you for the conversation today, and thank you for always connecting it back to the mission and the purpose of what we do, and we appreciate your leadership throughout all of this.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
All right, we'll see you on the next episode of Inside Ingalls.